Hey guys, it's Hunter. Welcome back to another video. So a box arrived and I was very confused. I don't play acoustic guitar. What is this? Sent a few messages around, couldn't figure out where it came from. A couple weeks later though, my aunt texted, "Hey, what do you think of the 80s guitar? Is it working for you?" 80s guitar? But then it clicked. My aunt and uncle had been clearing out the house and had found something that might be interesting to keep in the family, maybe even pass down to Frida. She's leaning more into drums right now, which I'm totally good with, but you know, if she picks up the guitar. Anyway, so it's a really special one, and so of course I had to unbox it and check it out with you guys. I haven't seen this thing in about 10 years, so it's gonna be really cool to check it out together. So smack a like on the video if you're going to enjoy it to appease the ceaselessly hangry algorithm. That actually really helps out, and let's head into the garage. Guys, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little behind on content. Oh my god, someone said help. So let's get to work, open this thing up. Wow. Okay, this is sick. Let me give you some of the backstory to this one. So this is my uncle's Tokai Goldstar Sound. Let's be real, Tokai Strat that he bought in 1984 after his American Fender Telecaster was stolen out of his apartment. And the only guitar he could afford to replace it with was the cheapest Strat knockoff in the shop. He thinks he might have picked it up at the old Sam Ash on 48th Street, and he recalls paying about $100 for it. And because it was so cheap, he kinda didn't realize at the time just how well regarded the Tokai brand actually is. Like when you hear the loose term made in Japan lawsuit guitar, Tokai is one of the main names that refers to. 80s Tokais are highly regarded as some of the best Stratocasters you can get, with a great price to quality ratio. Other than that, I've got basically no information about this model. All he knew is that it was cheaper than a Fender, he could afford it, and it made all the guitar noises required of it in his new wave band, which was debatably named, apparently depending on which member you asked, the Damn Dolls. Tragically, there are no recordings, but he does remember two of the songs he played in the set with this guitar, Dinosaur and MDSE, and I'll throw a screenshot of the lyrics up because they slap poetically. But it's just cool, man, the random memories that form around certain guitars and music that end up lasting a lifetime, right? Like everybody's got stories about their band's first songs that may not have been masterpieces, and then I get to share those stories with all of you. It's just cool. Now I guess this is the beginning of this guitar's second act, where it's found new life on the channel. So there you go, made in Japan. I'm gonna guess that's the original strap that came with it too. Same with the tweed case, the patina, the wear on the handle. Now, this case has seen some miles, man. Specs were pretty fluid at the time. You can see they modified the headstock so they wouldn't get in trouble with Fender. You know, just in case the body didn't give it away. That's hilarious. They've modified the shape and then they've just shamelessly copied the fuck out of Fender's script fonts. It's hard for my phone to pick it up, but it seems that there's some slight finish checking starting to form. It's like so difficult to see. This finish is so scratched up. Maybe not the whole finish, but sometimes they'd put a thin layer of nitro over a poly finish that looks like a one-piece older body too. You know what? We found a serial. I'm gonna look up what this is. Insert the Hunter goes way down a nerdy guitar rabbit hole and has to info dump all about 80s Tokais here.
A little longer than a few minutes later.
Okay, so as I mentioned, specs were really fluid around this time because of legal issues and bad record keeping, so bear with me, but after way too much research, I think I figured out exactly what this is. Buckle up, ladies and gents, it's time for a history lesson. So unfortunately, the serial does not give us the specific model information, but in 1977, Tokai had been making pre-CBS Strat replicas with the series name Springy Sound. Just a few years later though, in 1982, they were forced to change the logo and branding to Goldstar Sound. Apparently, Fender were slightly upset with the font and design of the Springy Sound headstocks. I wonder why. Bruh, I thought the Goldstar Sound headstocks were shameless, but holy shit. In the midst of all this, there was also the Silverstar Sound, Tokai's 70s CBS era replica with the awesome giant headstock, and they're still regarded as well-built models, but back then people didn't even want CBS era Fenders, so that series didn't last very long. Anyways, so in 1982, during the Goldstar Sound rebrand, Tokai stopped putting the serial numbers in the neck pocket and started stamping a new serial system into the neck plates, which was basically just a direct copy of Fender's serial system. In this case, the serial starting with L shows this guitar is based on a 1963 to 1965 Fender Strat, which is exactly what Fender did from 1963 to 1965, and that L is super random, and allegedly it might be a Fender mistake. Accidentally accident or not, Tokai have faithfully replicated that system. And then according to a table on vintagejapanguitars.com, the other 5 digits in the serial, 20964, actually puts this as a 1985 spec model. Although the site does say the tables can't be deemed 100% accurate because, well, let's just say record keeping since then has improved. Okay, so we've confirmed the general time frame this was built. Now we can narrow in to find the specific model. And as a Les Paul fan, I've been dying to check out one of these for a while because they're supposed to be one of the best as well, but as a newcomer to Tokai's specific history, I uncovered a lot more with this journey down the rabbit hole. But as you can see, when it comes to Japan, it's like this whole other sprawling world with its own lore to explore. And just this small slice of 80s Tokai Strats is another example of how there are so many current and vintage exclusives. So we talk about Japanese guitars a lot on this channel, especially now because things from Japan are really cheap compared to normal. The exchange rate is literally the best it's been in decades. Your dollars and your euros buy a lot in Japan right now. In every video, there's at least one person asking, but if they're exclusively distributed in Japan and we're not randomly inheriting one from a super cool uncle, why are we even talking about these if you can't even get them? Well, you actually can get them, and it's way easier than you might think. Easily the most effortless and stress-free way to get your hands on Japanese guitars and gear is to use a Japan-based shopping proxy service like Zen Market, who I'm proud to say have sponsored today's video. Think of them like a trusted friend in the local area, someone that knows their shit. You just find what you want, send the listing their way, and you're good. Zen Market handles everything else from there. You don't need to know how to speak Japanese, you communicate with them in English or one of 18 other languages, whatever you prefer. They buy the guitar locally on your behalf, inspect it to make sure there's no damage and that everything is accounted for, then they professionally pack and ship it to you. Zen Market takes care of all the logistics and details. They take all the stress and hassle out of buying something special, like a guitar from halfway around the globe. It's peace of mind you can't underestimate. And what I really appreciate about Zen Market is their specific expertise with guitars. They have guides running through how to buy them, quick breakdowns on vintage Japanese instruments. They're even the official international shipping partner for Digimart, Japan's largest website for musical instruments. It's where shops all over Japan list their guitars. Basically, Zen Market knows what the hell they're doing with shipping professionally packed guitars internationally, and that's why they're trusted by over 2 million people worldwide. And just in general, Japan is a crazy place full of crazy things. Outside of guitars, Zen Market works with over 10,000 stores, so if you want to pick up Japanese Pokemon cards, weird snacks you can't get anywhere else, softest plushies in the world, Zen Market can bundle orders. Less to keep track of, saves you money on shipping. So if you're looking to snag your own Tokai, or $400 fully scalped Grassroots, or pink Edwards Alexi Sawtooth, or anything else, again, the exchange rate is essentially the best it's ever been in history. Now's the perfect time to get a great deal on guitars from Japan. Let Zen Market handle all the hard work for you. And to sweeten the deal, when you use my link in the description to create a free account, use my code AGRIFISH and you get an exclusive 1,000 free Zen points, which can be used for 1,000 yen off international shipping. Link will also be in the pinned comment. Huge thanks to Zen Market for sponsoring the video and for hooking our community up with a special deal. Just don't forget to use that code AGRIFISH for the exclusive bonus. And while you're checking out the best and most stress-free way to get your next Japanese guitar, let's talk a bit more about Tokai Strats, figure out exactly what this one is and why it's significant in Tokai's history. Now, sources differ on the exact dates, but in the early to mid 80s, as Tokai started to focus less on the domestic Japanese market, they transitioned their officially only available in Japan STs into the export-focused TSTs, or Tokyo Strats. And a couple years later, they introduced the ASTs, or America Strats. The models and specs were exactly the same between the TST and AST lines. The only difference was the modified, slightly uglier headstock exclusively for the American market to appease Fender's lawyers, and the TST continued to be sold everywhere else. A lot of Tokai fan groups say 85 is when the modified headstock started showing up, but the catalog showed as far back as 83, so who the f knows? We move. Either way, clearly this has the modified headstock and Goldstar Sound branding, so it's an AST, but looking through the 1984 and 85 catalogs, one, in addition to the Fender and Gibson replicas they're known for, Tokai also made some wild shit, like the TZ shape, the super metal F and X, and the literally all metal aluminum Talbo. They even made a Talbo bass. They even make Talbos today. How did I not know about this? Two, they were even doing Norland inspired designs, so I need to check that situation out because I love those thin Norland necks, and the Gibsons have gotten stupid expensive. Thanks, Adam Jones. And three, there are multiple AST trim levels that came in this 3-color sunburst. So which one is this? Now, luckily, somehow the Made in Japan sticker has survived on the neck for 4 decades. And right next to it, okay, So this is an AST-40. Now all we had to do was confirm the year. So all the 84s I found online had vintage style tuners. Only the 85s had these ridiculous massive things. These chrome, like, FEMA tent enclosures. So this is, in all likelihood, a 1985 spec Tokai Goldstar Sound AST-40. And in Tokai model names, the number after the letter refers to the price at the time. So in the lineup, this was the lowest trim level. Just while the 80 came with DiMarzios, this came with electronics and hardware that Tokai fans hold very little love for. So now you know more than you ever needed to know about 80s Tokai Strats. And all that being said, if you just want to know what the best one is, apparently the Springy Sound ST80s are considered the holy grail of Tokai Strats, and they're the only ones known to have a full proper nitro finish as a consistent spec. Oh, and the ST100, which is essentially the same thing, same specs, same build, just a little fancier with things like gold hardware. So now you know a bit on what you're looking at if you decide to pick up one for yourself, but back to this one. Okay, so I'm not too worried about the electronics or about these tuners, which look way cleaner and newer than the rest of the guitar. If we need to, those are easily replaceable. However, there is a significant current problem. Jesus wept, what is happens here? That is legitimately the worst action I've ever seen. Holy fuck, that's horrific. Perspective is hard to capture here, but that's a good ½ centimeter off the fingerboard. Honestly, the frets don't actually feel too bad, but yeah, we need to sort this out. You know, like the trim's pulling up, the neck may be slightly bowing. Fitting, because much like their planes, this action is a shambles. Vintage specs are all fun and games until you realize to adjust the truss rod, you have to take the whole fucking neck off, because that's how they did it in the 60s. Nah, but it needs some TLC anyways. It needs some new strings, needs a little cleanup. So let's take it apart, give it some TLC, then let's plug it in, get some tones, and see how it feels. I'm stoked for this, man. First time I'll have played a Tokai. Alright, the setup is still slightly janky, I'm not gonna lie. Like, the neck still needs to be adjusted more. The saddles are pushed all the way back, maybe to compensate for the neck bowing so much. The lighter strings seem to have really helped. It's not a slide guitar anymore, it's actually playable. Yeah, that sounds pretty chimey. That's a little lighter than I was expecting. Not cheap, solid, but light. The Strat sound isn't one that I'm super familiar with. This is the only proper Strat I have right now. Everything else is Les Pauls and metal guitars, basically. But I hear the secret sauce to Strats is position 4, that's the neck in the middle, so let's try that. Wait a second, the switch is so weird. It doesn't want to click to 2 and 4. I legit thought it was a 3-way, because it just wants to go to 1, 3, and 5. New strings, new strings. Drop D, obviously. Big guitar center energy is how we like it on this channel. Yeah, this is really... This is really pleasant. I've been chugging out power chords so long that cleans are so much pressure. Maybe that's because it's a little broken in, but it just feels really comfortable. And the neck feels really good. It doesn't feel like a vintage Strat. So remember before when I said this is based on a 63 to 65 Fender Strat? Well, kind of, sort of. They have full vintage correct spec AST 56 and 62 for those specific years. So they've got V and U-shaped necks respectively. This is more like a contemporary interpretation of a 60 Strat. So it's got the modern C profile, 9.5-inch fingerboard radius, very much modern Fender with 60s vibes. So I guess in a future video, I'll swap out the parts and I don't know, an Evertuner or something. Just kidding, we don't need to throw an Evertune in everything. It's a really fun guitar, dude. Fun fact, Alexi Laiho's first guitar was a Tokai Strat. So, just for gits and shiggles, chug time. There we go. Hey, shout out to Gojira Joe. Dude's not playing a Fender either now. Too soon, too soon. These vintage saddles are a nightmare to chug on. Might actually need to throw an Evertune on this. Dude, I mean, like, the way that the fingerboard edges have naturally been played in, I might just replace the saddles, but other than that, it's a 40-year-old guitar, and I don't know when the last time my uncle actually played this. He made it sound like it's been many, many years, but I mean, it just needed one slight neck adjustment, and it was playable. Most traditional Strats I pick up, and I don't really feel anything. Not this one. This one's special. And in fairness, that might be the personal history, but it's also one of those where you pick it up and it's like, all right, yeah, that's a good instrument. Certain other brands, you'd be paying a lot more for this level of quality. Oh, those saddles are terrible. All right, that is quite enough of that. So yeah, I guess I've finally got a Strat now, and it's a really special one. Massive shout out to my amazing patrons for supporting the channel. Their names are up on the screen right now. Consider joining them if you like what I do for bonus extras. Tokais are everywhere in Japan. There's some great deals on them, so don't forget to check out Zen Market if you're looking to pick up one of your own. Social media, Discord, and links to all the gear used are in the description. As always, thank you so much for watching. You've been awesome, and I will see you